Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. England, Belgium. Yes, it's not the World Cup final, but the third place game matters. Belgium were worthy winners, but how did they do it? Where did England go wrong? And can England build from performances that they produced at the World Cup? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Belgium beat England. So England, Belgium, third place game, not one that many do remember, but they end up tending to be very good games. Belgium obviously unable to beat France in the semifinal, unable to break them down. We look at England, started well against Croatia, but faded out as the game wore on, didn't make any tactical tweaks. So here, a chance to win, obviously the bronze medal, not the greatest thing, but to go home with something. When we do break it down, we got Belgium 3-4-2-1, Lukaku up front, Hazard, De Bruyne behind him. In midfield, they're in with Tielemans and Witsel, wingbacks, Chadli, and the returning Meunier. We get to England, a few changes to their starting lineup, 3-5-2, Kane, Sterling up front, wingbacks, Danny Rose, Kieran Trippier. In midfield, we went with Loftus-Cheek, Delph, and Eric Dyer. What went right for Belgium? Well, unlike the game against France where they were forced to break England down, here they dropped off a bit deeper and everything kind of worked out for them. Moving off a bit deeper, they had De Bruyne on Dyer, Hazard dropping in, and he was ensuring to cut off passes from Phil Jones so he couldn't play any penetrative passes. And then Lukaku, obviously, on the right, they dropped into more of a 5-4-1. And what they did here effectively was basically this. They shut down England from really gaining any chances. Obviously, you would think that's much easier said than done, but the way they did it was very simplistic, just covered their man, marked their spaces, and there were a few issues that they did experience in the second half. In the first half, it wasn't based on the personnel that England had on the field, but when we do look at it, basically all they did, they had the wing back step out, Meunier stepped out to Rose, Chadli stepped out to Trippier, they had Tielemans on Delph. They really didn't worry about Loftus-Cheek, and we'll get to Loftus-Cheek in a second as to why that was very important. They had Loftus-Cheek sitting a bit higher, they had Vertonghen step to him, and basically after that, you got Dyer out of the game. You got Delph out of the game. So how are you building on the back? The center backs had the ball, but they couldn't really get into any of the midfield players. They couldn't get into the wide players. England lacked creativity. We know that in the sense of the ball-playing midfielders that they have. We had Sterling drop off quite a bit. He was picking up the ball, looking to break forward, getting past challenges, but when he got near the box, crowded out, didn't have that extra bit of quality. Same thing with Kane. Didn't look too bad, but he was pretty quiet throughout the game, and England just didn't create chances. You look at the chances that they did create in the first half. One, a hopeful long ball. It was the one time Dyer really broke free from De Bruyne, clipped the ball over the box, fell to Sterling. Sterling teed up Kane. Kane fired a shot wide. You look at another opportunity where it's Loftus-Cheek actually taking advantage of that situation, getting by Vertonghen, getting by Chadli, trying to pull the cross back, and he won a corner kick. Really, when you stem things down, England just didn't have any source of an outlet to Kane, of an outlet to Sterling to get him into positions where they could really harm someone. They missed Lingard here. They missed Ali, obviously. Their ability to find space in behind, especially this space here where Loftus-Cheek was really getting out there, and Dyer on the ball. They obviously couldn't get him going because De Bruyne was sticking to him. And even if De Bruyne went to press the center backs, Witsel would gamble and step on Dyer. So that was a big issue. The other thing here was the fact that England were pushing men forward. They're trying to really take the game to them. You see all these players that they have forward, but the problem is that when they got crowded out at the edge of the box, counterattacks were able to be stemmed, and that starts with De Bruyne easily bypassing Dyer on several occasions throughout the game, just easily running by him. You look at their opening goal, didn't stem from a counterattack, but look, it's Lukaku dropping deep, picking up the ball. And what you see here, he starts it, Chadli's able to run it behind Trippier, and it's just wing-back play. Simple wing-back play. Rose just doesn't do a good job of getting across, and that leads to the goal, and that is a big issue for England. You can't concede like that, especially at this stage of the tournament, regardless if it's regardless if it's the World Cup final or not, you can't concede a goal like that. That was a big issue for them. De Bruyne was obviously important throughout in the sense that he was able to really lead the counterattack. There were 2 chances in the first half and the second half. One stemmed from Meunier, a ball across. One stemmed from Hazard, dropping a bit deeper, just simply finding that outlet ball into Lukaku, running him behind, but his touch was heavy, and that's a big issue. But this was about De Bruyne being at his counterattacking best and basically bypassing Dyer with ease. Hazard was able to pick up the ball from deeper positions. They didn't want Jones to really get at him, so he was picking it up, evading challenges. If there was any time where De Bruyne dropped a bit deeper, you'd see Hazard from the left kind of drift across, find spaces there. At times it felt like you thought England or Belgium were just trying to overload the central areas with De Bruyne, with Hazard, but they were there, they were effective. De Bruyne, like I said, getting past Dyer, Hazard dropping deep, dribbling past players. It was perfect for Belgium in the first half. Probably should have been up by more. The second half comes on. What happens is that Chadley got hurt towards the end of the first half. They bring on Vermaelen, they push Vertonghen to the left, and that kind of helps out England in the sense that Trippier was able to get a bit forward. Vermaelen isn't the most mobile, the center back, not the most reliable anymore. So what happens is that England end up making changes. They take off Sterling, they bring on Rashford. What happens now is that they also bring on Lingard, and that pushes Fabian Delph to the left side. Now what you have there is that Meunier can't really push forward and get the better of Danny Rose like he did. There were several occasions where Delph was there, or there was one occasion in particular where there was a counterattack and they were breaking free, and Delph was able to come across and make that difference there. Similar to the first goal, Delph really helped them out there, ensuring the balance. And now what you have is Dyer sitting off. You have Lingard trying to push forward, which pushes back Tielemans, and then you have Witsel still here, but not picking up Loftus-Cheek, who became the most important player in the second half. Dyer sitting off, the 3 center backs here, and as the game wore on, there was no press on Dyer, which obviously didn't really benefit England either, but in the same sense, it brought Loftus-Cheek to life. It started in the earlier stages of the second half, just pulling off, constantly pulling off into the space here behind Witsel to his left, runs at Vermaelen, gets by him, lucky company gets across, wins a corner kick. There's another instance where they have Loftus-Cheek picking up the ball, Dyer again, no press on him, plays it to him, company steps to Rashford, combines, he bypasses everyone in terms of Tielemans and Witsel to break free on goal, chips the keeper, Alderweireld comes across to clear his lines. There's one instance in particular where Dyer, again, not pressed by De Bruyne. That pressing stopped in the first half. And going into the second half, Dyer clips the ball in. Witsel ends up charging towards him, which pulls space for Loftus-Cheek to break into the box. He gets there, but he's unable to get a shot off because Vertonghen reads it well. Along with that, Loftus-Cheek combined well with Kieran Trippier, who was able to deliver crosses into the box. Some of them overhit. Loftus-Cheek was also pulling into that space, charging forward on counterattacks, getting crosses into the box. None of them met Harry Kane. But when you look at it, although Loftus-Cheek was gaining control of the game, or having moments, more decisive moments than actual control of the game, pushing England forward, that the way that they made the changes helped because one, they had Delph there, two, you have Rashford in the box, which gives you more of an aerial threat, unlike Raheem Sterling. Lingard offering a bit more than Fabian Delph, bombing into different pockets of space, trying to push forward to break into the box, but the same issue arose as they push forward, more counter-attacking threats. Meunier still had a threat when Delph was caught, often joining the attack. You had De Bruyne often just sitting a bit behind Dyer so that when the ball was won, he would be able to storm forward. Hazard got John Stones booked, and eventually they finish off the game. They probably should have finished it off earlier on, and it's just simple. De Bruyne locates Phil Jones out of position, plays the ball into Hazard. Hazard gets him behind him, and he finishes off the game. But when you break it all down, Belgium, defensively solid, very simplistic, but they negated England's threat. They knew that they didn't really have any outlet into Kane, no real creativity. They stopped Kieran Trippier, who was England's key player throughout the tournament, stopped him from delivering cross into the box, and they knew that De Bruyne, Hazard, and Lukaku would have opportunities to bypass Dyer and the England backline like they did against Brazil. Whereas for England, didn't start well, obviously made key changes, but at the end of the day, although Loftus-Cheek did provide a few key moments. That's the same thing. They have a nice young talent. They're building in the right direction, but still lack obviously the creativity, but just a bit more composure in the final third. Didn't create enough chances, didn't get the ball to Harry Kane. Harry Kane was quiet throughout the knockout round, and unfortunately this will be set as a learning curve for them and hoping that they could be better, because here they were beaten by a better side. But let me know what you guys think. Is England gonna build from this? Can Belgium actually win a major tournament after this performance? And is Eden Hazard really as good as he made out to be at the World Cup? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.